Gentlemen, one must go back to think that I think it was the second Blair administration where the Labour Party actually got 28% from the total votable population. Of course, not everybody voted, but of those eligible to vote on the electoral roll, 28% voted in the second Labour administration. Now, Vince was saying about the majority being anti any government that's going to appear. I think 4 or 5 questions back, Vince, you nearly got to the point of recommending a national government as we had between 1939 and 1945. I would support that as long as Vince Cable was at number 11. I'll leave that to Vince.
I don't have comments, otherwise I'll lose the effect of the question.
You talked earlier about a shift of the British economy's focus away from financial markets to possibly more on education, training and scientific research. But although university funding has been falling recently, the need for managing the budget deficit remains imminent. So where does a boost to educational funding fit into this?
Well, I think part of the answer, and you're already seeing this, the one British government department that is now implementing cuts is BIS, and it's been done in a rather kind of haphazard way, but universities and government funded research have been hit quite badly already. But in terms of higher education, I mean, I question whether it is actually sensible to stick with the government's objective of trying to get as many people as possible into university. You can get a more educated labour force without that. There is this obsession at the moment with the status of having been to a university. I mean, I don't want to talk this down totally, because I mean, I was one of the privileged people who went to a university in my generation, and I can understand why people have that ambition for their own children. But simply this sort of bums on seats approach to universities, which has dominated recently, at the expense of further education and vocational training for post-16-year-olds, has actually been very unhealthy. And I think we just have to accept the fact that the university sector, in the sense that we now understand it, may have to contract relative to other bits of post-16 education and training.
The construction industry normally leads the way out of recession, but the slides you showed us this morning show very little growth. What can be done to stimulate the construction industry?
So I'm in the transport and heavy engineering industry, but I've also worked in asbestos removal, which is very closely allied to the construction industry, and I think there's a number of things. If you actually look at, and bearing in mind we're on a redevelopment quotes site, the thing that we're always told is that the construction industry leads mostly on the back of house building, and it was always said to be quite a good indicator of when, if you want to think of the equivalent of rats leaving a sinking ship, when the major companies sold their house building arms, that's when they thought things were going to get bad. So if the construction industry is going to get big on the back of building extra houses for people so that we can expand places time and time again, I'm not sure, and really, let's be honest with you, an awful lot of that is to make people feel good because their house is more valuable, so we've got this vibrant housing economy that is all smoke and mirrors, and I don't think that would be a great thing, but I think there are an awful lot of things you could spend money on in the construction industry that are not private houses that will go down very, very well and help every one of us in this room. For example, you could build the Severn Barrage so that we can all have free electricity for 25% of the south from the tides coming in and out. A massive construction project would keep people going for years. You can build High Speed 2, the second high-speed line in the country. We're so far behind everybody else. It would employ thousands and thousands of people. I actually live in Essex, despite having a business in Hampshire. And when I come down here by train, I go past the Olympic Village. Now, whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, all the construction workers in Essex are all working in Stratford, building this major project. So if you want construction to lead, I would say that the government's got a big role to play in this, but instead of getting them to put up little chocolate box houses all over the place so that we can all feel that the housing market is vibrant and bubbly. Let's actually build some infrastructure that we need that's still there in 20, 30, 40 years' time. Let's build some power stations, let's build some lines to transmit the power up and down the country, which we had, by the way, and we've all sort of got rid of because it wasn't very nice and important, and it's much more fun to do other things. So that's where I see construction going. Build some stuff that we need.
I think we should have had someone from the construction industry here as one of the speakers, but he couldn't make it because he's too busy at the moment. But one of the things I think he would say is that he is showing a tremendous increase in workloads, and I'll come to Keith House in a moment on a point on the issue, but he would ask for greater clarity of planning and greater contact between planners and the industry so that they had some idea about which direction they were supposed to be going. But Keith, you stood there very...
Well, I'm sure that's right, Peter. I think one of the things that the construction sector, typically house builders, but wider than that, say to me as the local authority leader is we actually want a better dialogue with local authorities. We want to have ongoing conversations with you, and certainly in terms of house building in Eastleigh Borough over the last couple of years, that dialogue with the sector has helped keep people in jobs by positive signals going out from the local authority as the planning authority that those jobs are valid, and we actually want the sector to work. But Vince answered part of this question, I think, earlier this morning by saying that local government as well as national government has got a critical role in keeping capital spending up at this point in the economic cycle. Some local authorities, I'm bound to flag away for Eastleigh, have done just that over the course of the last couple of years. Firstly, it keeps people in jobs. Secondly, it helps keep skills within the economy so they don't get lost. And thirdly, it actually does result in quality infrastructure being provided, which is necessary for the long term. I'd like to see some of that thinking be applied more widely across Hampshire. And one of the points that we've made at the County Council is that spending on critical infrastructure projects now would actually pay long-term benefits. That could be road, it could be rail. There are a number of projects that have been put on hold with the capital programme decimated on the back of wanting to protect frontline services. Again, the point that Vince was making earlier this morning. So there's a big role both for local government and national government in keeping the construction sector as part of wider infrastructure moving at times like these.
Okay, thank you. I've got about 1 minute left on my clock before we should move on. I was going to give our guest of honour 1 minute as a final summary. Vince? Anyone can talk for an hour, Vince.
Yes, well, I can talk for an hour. But actually, I think the last question was a very good peg to bring things together. And I actually agree with most of the panel. We haven't been bitterly divided. But I mean, the construction industry is an interesting one. That it has been the sector that has been worst affected by the recession. And it's partly for the reasons that have been given, that it's the private housing that's been hit. But if we're creative, we can see, this leading the way into recovery, and it's partly about big infrastructure projects. I mean, it's also aspects of housing. I mean, I just noticed your affordable housing just around the corner. There's a desperate shortage at the bottom end of the scale of social rented accommodation and part buy, part rents. There are bits of the housing market that are severely underdeveloped. We have millions of houses in this country that are grossly substandard in terms of insulation. And a bit of support from local and national government of the right kind would enable that sector to really take off and fill a big gaping hole in the economy.
Thank you very much. I've got someone's given me 2 small gifts for you.
Oh, thank you. They're
actually pens made from recycled dollar bills.
All right. Okay.
So with a bit of luck, they will be worth significantly less in a few weeks' time.
More of the way they're going.
Can I
destroy dollar bills?
I'm told that's what they are. Anyway, can I thank you very much, Vince, for giving your time to be with us today. A brilliant exposition that I'm sure we'll come back to. Thank you very much to our other panel members for also giving their time. To the audience for giving your time for being here. Please, if you haven't put your business card in the pot before you leave, please do so. And please, we do hope, I'm sure Keith and Chris would say, that we hope this is but one step on the way to having closer contact and to listening more to develop the economy of Hampshire in a way that will benefit all of us, even very aged people like me. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.